So now we're going to start with the arising of Vedana comes what? What do we know, right? Where it is. Vedana Pachaya Tanha. Tanha Pachaya Upadana. Upadana Pachaya Bhava. This is perhaps the most important part of dependent origination for us practitioners, for those of us who are really trying to escape samsara. So let's look at the English. Dependent on feeling, craving arises. Dependent on craving, clinging arises. There we go. Dependent on clinging, what? Bhava, existence. Becoming, in this translation, arises. Right? So we have a pleasant feeling through whatever of our senses, right? So we'll use a pleasant sight. And then once we have a pleasant sight, we have what? An anusya, an underlying tendency to cling. We like it. Tanha, craving is an okay translation for tanha, but it's not the best. If you look up, this is why you like looking up these Pali words in the dictionary, Pali English dictionary is so good, because tanha is thirst. Thirst. And there's a wonderful vision in the Tibetan tradition of the Peta of the ghost, whose mouth is really small, right? The being is so hungry all the time, but their mouth is really small and they can only fit so much in, right? That's what we are all the time. That's what we are in samsara, because the Buddha talks about what he calls kamoga. Kamoga is flood of sensual pleasures. As soon as we are born into this body, around us, sensual pleasures, everything, all kinds of contacts, feeling on the skin, wonderful sights, sounds, smells, all kinds, and we are immersed in it. And we have tanha for these. There is so much flood of sensual pleasures that we can't experience it all in one life. So at the end of this life, we feel, oh man, I want to keep going, or I want to keep experiencing wonderful sensual pleasures. So we're going to keep going. Right? This is our tendency. This is tanha. This is a thirst. The thirst to keep going, to have more sensual pleasures, to keep experiencing pleasant experiences. That thirst is what keeps us in samsara. That thirst is the origin of our suffering. Very important to reflect on this, to understand, right? We have a feeling, pleasant, painful, or neutral. And it's just a feeling, it's just a sensation. But then from that feeling arises tanha, thirst, craving. And there's a middle ground, there's a middle part between Vedana and tanha. That is where we can see, that's where we can investigate, that's where we can develop our insight. This is how we can free ourselves, right? We understand that because of this thirst, we want to keep going. And what do? Upadana, to grasp, to get onto, I'm trying to remember, to to reach up, to grasp, to hold. We have the thirst, and then we want to solidify that thirst. We want to hold on to it. We want to grasp. We want to cling. We want to cling. We're at the end of our life, and we want to have more sensual pleasures. So we cling to those. And guess what? What does that lead to? Bhava. The next existence again, continued existence. Becoming, right? So this is where all our suffering is. Our grasping, our holding, our desire, our thirst to keep going. And as we practice, as we develop our insight, as we see through, as we see things as they are, our grasp starts to loosen, just ever slightly. We're still holding on, but slowly, 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 we're letting go. Our grasp is loosening. Our thirst is lessening. Slowly, 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 over time, over practice, until nothing, extinguishment. So today, all day, let's reflect on this. Let's reflect on how our tanha, our thirst, leads to our suffering, leads to continued existence in this samsara. Let's all try to practice. Let's think about today how wonderful it can be to get off that samsara train. Freedom, nibbana is the ultimate bliss. Freedom is the only refuge, right? As we saw from the chanting yesterday. So with this, friends, we can reflect on these thoughts for the day. I wish you a very spiritually successful and peaceful day. Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy. Practice well and be well.